So we are ready to share the Jamboard for our group, the inventory management, and Justin is our reporter.
Okay, so we talked about quite a bit. The first thing we covered that I think people should know about is when you're trying to look for stuff to get rid of, you can pull reports on last usage out of My Turn. I pull them personally and manipulate them in Excel to make them look how I want, but that is something that's available. I suggest looking into it. As far as our board goes, all the problems we had are on the left in the blue, and then our fixes are orange, and there's quite a bit. One of the big things we went on about was managing seasonal loans. Someone suggested shortening loan terms for high demand items, which I thought was a really good idea, and just finding excess seasonal space to store things when they're not needed. And then as far as acquiring good tools, getting emergency grants from, like for us, Puget Sound Energy, to buy chainsaws for trees that come down and stuff like that, and talking to the manufacturers themselves because they can give discounts and will donate stuff as well.
Great, thank you, Justin.
Yep.
I'll take over for the events, classes, and workshops. So I'm gonna, and it's interesting to see how every group has different style of making up the board. So we grouped the sticker notes in 3 different categories. So we talked about the workshops and partnerships and events and classes from the perspective, what else can we teach people? And how can we adapt in the world of, in the realities of COVID, do it with a less number of people. And also we brought up a topic of the time and place, saying that all the events and workshops that you're planning for, it's very local. And something like even we can have a handbook of what kind of things people need at what time, and also know your community and know what your community needs and satisfy that need, which is really hard to predict, but conversation needs to be brought up within the community to understand what they need. And of course, we could not address an elephant in the room. We talked about the virtual events. Peter from Fix a Clinic was in our group, so he talked about their model, and we talked what are the challenges of having virtual events and how the results of it is that we want everyone to become a fixer eventually through this process, or that's going to be the outcome of COVID virtual realities.
That looks like my messy one.
Well, Tracy, I'm really glad because I actually totally forgot to say it. So good on you for doing it.
I'll just dismantle my brain here. It took me a minute to get to use the thing again. So, fingers were flying and my mind was churning, trying to retain the information, but I'll do my best. Well, I first want to point out that Cammie had mentioned earlier, along with the website that Zero Waste Washington is developing for a forum to share, is a Google group as a forum and to check out where events are taking place. So that's kind of important link, which she's going to share with everyone. One of the questions, of course, we're talking about COVID and the safety measures of having, what are you doing? Are you having a virtual event? Are you having drop off? Are you having a real live event where people attend? And I would say a lot of folks like Tara and Tori, and I think Heather, doing drop offs. And there is a period of quarantine that the item is quarantined and wiped off for 72 hours. Even a drop off tool sharpening event that Tara explained, that the people have to wear masks even when they're dropping off the item, for protection. So a lot of mask wearing. a lot of drop-off delivery type things where you have a specific time to drop off, a specific time to pick up, and these two things do not happen on the same day and the same time. There are a lot of different little details about these processes. So I suggest that you ask Heather Teagarden, Jeff, and Tara about some of these processes specifically. And Tori offered, since March, they closed their physical space and they had the drop off. Yeah, I was saying they do the wipe off in the drop off period and the pickup period. Steve had asked about, you know, now that we know that the virus is spread airborne instead of contact, you know, how do you deal with ventilation if you're actually having an event? And Tara addressed that they had invested in fans and they opened their windows. So, you know, you have to do your research and, you know, follow other people's advice and guidance and stuff. Jeff had talked about some the space challenges because they had such a small space to work within, and they found Routific, I guess, as a delivery, if I'm right, Jeff, a delivery system to use instead of the in-person event. Also, there's Heather had mentioned that they use Sign Up Genie for intake management. I'm not really familiar with that, but it sounded like everybody else was. So that's kind of the high points, I think.
And then also Zero Waste Washington, in addition to that information, has COVID safety protocol information that they're going to share with us as well.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.